Hello, this class we are going to learn about the lesson The Lost Leaf, written by O. Henry. Brainstorming. What is to be cured, the body or the mind? Do you believe in miracles? Share your experiences. Look at the picture of the author, O. Henry. William Sidney Potter was born in 1862 and died in 1910. American short story writer is known by his pen name O. Henry. While in prison, he began writing short stories in order to support his daughter Margaret. His first published story was Whistling Dick's Christmas Stocking in 1899. He used the pseudonym of Oliver Henry only once and changed his pen name to O. Henry, not wanting his reader to know that he was in prison. He has written nearly 600 stories, which are known for a witty plot, surprise endings, warm characterization of awkward and difficult situations. In a little district west of Washington Square, the streets have run crazy and broken themselves into small strips called places. These places make strange angles and curves. One street crosses itself a time or two. An artist once discovered a valuable possibility in the street. Suppose a collector with a bill for paints, paper, canvas should in traversing this route suddenly meet himself coming back without a cent having been paid an account. So, to quaint old Greenwich village, the odd people soon came prowling, hunting for north windows and 18th century gables and Dutch architects and low rents. Then they imported some pewter mugs and a shuffling dish or two from Sixth Avenue and became a colony. At the top of the squatty three-story brick, Sue and Jancy had their studio. Jancy was familiar for Jonah. One was from Maine, the other from California. They had met at the table of an 8th Street Delmonico's and found their tastes in art, chicory, salad, and bishop sleeves so congenial that the joint studio resulted. That was in May. In November, a cold, unseen stranger, whom the doctors called pneumonia, struggled about the colony, touching one here and there with his icy fingers. Over on the east side, this ravager strode boldly, smiting his victims by scores, but his feet trod slowly through the maze of the narrow and the moss-grown places. Mr. Pneumonia was not what you could call a chivalric old gentleman. A mite of the little woman with blood-thinned by California Sybaris was wholly fair game for the red-fisted, short-breathed old tougher. But Johnsy he smote, and she lay scarcely moving on her painted iron bedstead, looking through the small Dutch window panes at the back side of the next brick house. One morning the busy doctor invited Zoe into the hallway with the fuzzy grey eyebrow. "She has one chance in, let us say 10," he said as he shook down the mercury in his clinical thermometer, "and the chance is for her to want to live. This way people have of leaving you on the side of the undertaker makes the entire pharmacopoeia look silly. So little lady has made up her mind that she's not going to get well. Has she anything on her mind?" She wanted to paint the Bay of Nabil someday, said Zui. Pain, booze. Has anything on her mind worth thinking twice? A man, for instance. A man, said Zui with a chew harsh swang in her voice. As a man would, but no doctor, there is nothing of the kind. Well, it is the weakness then, said doctor. I will do all that science so far it may filter through my efforts can accomplish. But whenever my patient begin to count the carriages in her funeral procession, he abstract 50% from the creation power of medicines. He will get her to ask one question about the new winter strain in Clark's lease. I will promise that he a 1 in 5 chance for her instead of 1 in 10. Used to love that wine, so you naughty girl, don't be a goosey. Why, the doctor told me this morning that your chances for getting well real soon, but let's see exactly what he said. He said the chances were 10 to 1. Why, that is almost as good as a chance we have in New York when we ride down the street cars or walk past a new building. Try to take some boot now and let Judy go back to her drawing so she can sell the editor man with it and buy port wine for her sick child and pork shop for her greedy self. He need not get any more wine, said Jancy, keeping her eyes fixed out the window. There goes another. No, I don't want any broth. That leaves just 4. I want to see the last one for before it gets dark. Then I'll go too. Jancy, dear, said Julie, bending over her. Will you promise me to keep your eyes closed and not look out the window until I'm done working? I must hand those drawings in my tomorrow. I need the light, or I would draw the shade down. Wouldn't you draw in the other room? Asked Jancy cloudly. I would rather be here by you, said Julie beside her. Don't want you keep looking at those silly leaves. Tell me as soon as you have finished, said Jancy, closing her eyes and lying white and still as fallen state, because he want to see the last one fall. So he's trying of waiting, he is tired of thinking, he want to turn loose my hold on everything and go sailing down just like one of those poor tired leaves. Try to sleep, said Zui. I must call Braham man up to me my model for the old hermit winner. He will not be gone a minute. Don't try to move till I come back. Old Braham was a painter who lived on the ground floor beneath them. He was past 60 and had a Michelangelo Moses beard hurling down from the head of the satyr along with the body of an imp. Braham was a failure in art. 40 years he had wheeled in the brush without getting near enough to touch the hem of his mistress' robe. Had been always about a paint masterpiece, but had never yet begun it. For several years he had painted nothing except now and then daub in the line of the commerce or advertising. He earned little by serving as a model to those young artists in the colony who didn't pay the price of a professional. He drank gin to excess and still walked off his coming masterpiece. For the rest, he was a fierce little old man who scoffed terribly by softness in anyone and who regarded himself as a special mastiff in waiting to protect the two young artists in the studio above. Zoe found Brahman smelling strongly of juniper berries in his dimly lighting den below. When Zoe awoke from an hour's sleep. The next morning she found Jancis with dull, wide-open eyes starting at the drawn green shade. "Put it up, I want to see," she ordered in a whisper. Wearily Hugh opened. But lo, after the beating rain and fierce gust of wind that had endured through the livelong night, there it stood out against the brick wall one heavy leaf. It was the last one on the vine, still dark green near its stem, with its serrated edges tinged with the yellow of dissolution and decay. It hung bravely from the branch some 20 feet above the ground. "It is the last one," said Jansi. "I thought it would surely fall during the night. I heard the wind. It will fall today and shall die at the same time." "Dear, dear," said Zui, leaning her worn face down to the pillow. "Think of me if you don't think of yourself. What would I do?" But Jansi didn't answer. The lonesomest thing in all the world is a soul when it is making ready to go on mysterious for journey. The fancy seems to possess her more strongly as one by one the ties that bound her to friendship and to the earth were loosed. The day wore away, and even through the twilight they could see the lone ivy leaf clinging to its stem against the wall, and then with the coming of the night a north wind was again loosed. Well, the rain still beat against the windows and pattered down from the low Dutch eaves. The doctor came in the noon, and Zui has excuse to go to the halfway as he left. Old Berman, with his red eyes painfully streaming, showed his contempt and derision for such idiotic imagination. "Even chance," said the doctor, taking Zui thin, shaking hand in his. "With good nursing you will win. And now I must see another case I have downstairs. Berman, his name is some kind of an artist, I believe. No hope for him, but he goes for the hospital today to be made more comfortable." The next day doctor said, "Zui is out of danger. You won. Nutrition and care now, that's all." And that afternoon Zui came to the bed where Zansi lay. "I have something to tell you, White Mouse," she said. "Mr. Bergman died of pneumonia today in the hospital. He was ill only 2 days. The janitor found him the morning of the first day in his room downstairs, helpless with pain. His shoes and clothes were wet through the icy cold. They couldn't imagine where he had been on such a dreadful night. And then they found a lantern still lighted, and the ladder that had been dragged from its place, and some scattered brushes and peltre with green and yellow color mixed on it. And look out the window, dear, at the last leaf on the wall. Didn't you wonder why it never fluttered or moved when the wind blow? Oh, darling, it's Berman masterpiece. He painted it the night that the last leaf fell." This is a very small summary of the lesson.